world, even a person who has able to heal themselves, even a person who has all the talent in the world, can only trust in what God does, because everything else fades away. Everything else is gone. David goes on to talk about Doeg's tongue plotting destruction. It's like a sharpened razor. You who practice deceit, you love evil rather than good, falsehood rather than speaking the truth. You love every harmful word. Oh, you deceitful tongue. This is the background of the warrior's exalting himself. This is what he does in his life. The weapons of this warrior, though, are not his spear, his shield, his sword. It's not his strength. It's interesting that the weapons of this warrior are words, are deceit. He doesn't even rely on his weapons. He doesn't even rely on his strength. He has to use cunning. He has to use conniving. He has to use all the scheming things that he does. He doesn't even rely on his strength. His power is in his words. If he had any real strength, he'd be able to act openly. But in fact, he does everything by deception. And trusting in your strength is a deception. And when we are intimidated by people who have strength, that's a deception. Because God is the one who has all the strength in this world. Here's a man who is trying to pretend that he's got power. As an imperial stormtrooper, I don't think he's a real one. I don't think the lady has anything to worry about. But he's trusting in the power that he has. He's rather pathetic, really. And so is Doeg. Doeg is trying to trust in his power, and it's really rather pathetic to try and do that. Yet for his victims, the deception is no joke. You know, they may not have any real power. God has all the real power. But for the victims of Doeg and for anybody else who has power, the deception is really no joke. It says your tongue plots disaster, destruction like a sharpened razor. You practice deceit. The point is made right away here that his tongue is his main weapon. And his tongue is planning destruction. It's like a razor, and it's actually like a sharpened razor. It's not even just a dull razor. David says that this thing is able to do damage. That deception and words are able to hurt people. And we have been hurt by them, and you've been hurt by them. But there can be no doubt. I really phrased that sentence really badly. I should go on to the next one. There are times when I think that deceit won't cause any problems. Okay? You know, you tell your wife you like the pot roast or whatever. You know, what did you make? You're thinking about something that he was going, You know, deceit may not cause any damage, but on the other hand, a lot of the deception that happens in the world does cause a lot of damage and does cause a lot of trouble. You know, there are many TV shows that deal with this idea of deception. The one on the right is from, the one on the left is from Lie to Me. You know, and his point is that everybody lies. And Dr. House there thinks all of his patients lie. You know, in one case, the lying causes all kinds of criminal activity and disaster. On House's case, the lying caused all kinds of damage to you personally, to your health. You know, don't lie to your doctor, don't lie to your lawyer. But we do, and lying causes all of this destruction that David is pointing out. Verse 3 then looks more deeply into this warrior's deceitful planning. He says, you love evil rather than good. The warrior is dedicated to bad. This is his life. Now, most of the time, I'm sure that Doeg was probably a nice guy to get along with. You know, even Dog the Bounty Hunter has his wife and his friends, you know, and there are people that get along with him. But the basic attitude of their life is against God, is bad rather than good. It says, you love every harmful word, oh, you deceitful tongue. Now, in Hebrew, love and dedicate are almost synonymous. In fact, they are synonyms. In fact, they're the same word in Hebrew. You know, it says you love evil. Well, in some of your verses probably say you're dedicated to evil. I had professors in seminary who would say that when they would ever use the Hebrew word for love, they would always call it loyal love or dedicated love. Because these people And these people are dedicated to deceit. They're dedicated to harm. They love harm. Then David goes on to say, surely God will bring you down to everlasting ruin. He will snatch you up and tear you from your tent. He will uproot you from the land of the living. The righteous will see and fear. They will laugh at him, saying, here now is the man who did not make God his stronghold, but trusted in his great wealth and grew strong by destroying others. The warrior described can be very threatening and is very threatening unless God is on your side. The destruction that he causes, the power that he has, will harm you unless God is involved. Now the warrior had to sneak around and cause all kinds of trouble, but God comes busting in the front door. There's no subtlety about this. God doesn't have to use words. He has the power, and so he uses the actions. He says, he is forceful. He comes bursting in. He uproots the guy. He tears him down. He's got forceful, vigorous, public deeds. The warrior is like a building in a city. And he says, God will just destroy that building. We'll just raze it to the ground and come tumbling down. He says he's like teeth, he is like teeth that God is smashing. He says he's like a coal that is snatched from the fire. God even dares to go down and get this coal out of the fire where it could burn him. Well, it can't burn God. But he goes down and he snatches that coal out and he throws it away where it can do no harm. God invades our lives and can take care of the evil in our lives. But the faithful have something to be astonished at. I had some violent stuff I had to put in a little bitty baby. The faithful have something to be astonished at. In fact, this psalm spends more time on the fact that we are astonished than it does on how God relieves us. Because yes, it is amazing that God comes into our lives. And we should just go, whoa! Here's what God does. It says, see what the Lord has done. And you need to examine and find those places where God has helped you out. Where God has helped other people out. And you ought to remember those stories where God, in the Bible, where God has helped people out. And all of those things ought to be put into your arsenal and into your memory bank so you can draw them out when you have trouble. And then you ought to revere the Lord. Because you've seen what He's done, you ought to revere God. Now, every once in a while, I'm sure you've had this happen to you, I find a verse in the Bible that I think God put in there yesterday. I have never read, I found a verse this week that I